Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor. Now it's time for your weekend tech tip, brought to you by Chevy Silverado.
Perfect timing for a Chevy Silverado tech tip of the week. We're talking a lot about, of course, fall Chinook, right? Fall Chinook are certainly on everyone's radar, especially if you like to fish along the coast, right? There's a number of different places to go. But the silver returns this year have been epic, to say the least. When things start to get really productive, that's about now, usually just falls down to river levels, what kind of conditions you have out there. But you brought up one that I thought was super interesting. One of the most popular colors, a cerise pattern, I guess might be a way to put it, for these Brad's Wigglers, a standard size Wigglers, but they're very different. They look the same, but they're not.
Correct. Yeah, the same color pattern, but they're flipped. So one is the BW29, that's this one here, and the opposite of 29 is 92, that's this one here. So you see they both have cerise and purple, but the colors are flipped.
Now, for myself included, what's the difference? Who cares? What's up?
Exactly, yeah. So the 29, you'll find actually runs better in clear water.
Okay.
And
meaning that is just maybe a better look. I mean, they're all going to run the same.
More fish attractive.
Okay.
Yes. And with this, with the dark bill, happens to catch more fish in the darker conditions.
More of a profile. They can see
it's a profile thing, exactly.
Okay.
So it's the same color pattern. They're just flipped.
Gotcha.
And then one works better in clear conditions and one works better in dark conditions. But these two sellers are, if you add these up together, outsell all of our other Wigglers combined.
You're kidding.
I am not kidding you. Nope.
Are you talking about just strictly for silver reasons?
All the
or
way
for
across. Yeah.
Get the heck out of here.
Yep.
And I don't have either
Insane.
one of these until now, people.
Until now? What does that mean?
Until now. What do you mean? Your odds are
So
slim.
those aren't going home, you're saying? Okay.
No. When you sign the contract, man, this stuff's mine. Okay, so I mean, it makes perfect sense. You got basically a very dark plug. If you look at it here,
really
especially the underside, you can see that that's very, very dark in comparison, but still yet you have the cerise up on top. Okay, so darker, like a lot of the different things we've talked about over the years, and everybody does, has that more of a profile where the fish can actually see it better, clearer water. This one here being all cerise with just a little bit of purple on the back. Would you call out those two colors silver colors?
Definitely silver colors, but I've also caught kings, especially in this size.
Oh, yeah, the Magnum.
Plenty of kings on that in the Magnum size.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, at least for myself, when I'm thinking of plugs and I'm going to run Brad's Wigglers in particular, and I'm going to run them and I'm going after silvers, I'm staring at one right now, and if I had to pick, and it would be one color combo that I'm like, listen, I am not going without it, is right there with the sparkle and everything on there, the yellow and the orange. I've got some of these from, I mean, they're years old, but when we were targeting them specifically, I mean, you'd lose the paint on these. Even with some of the best paint on the market, they just get eaten so well. What color is that? Can you know the name of that one off the top of your
It's
head?
Fire Tiger, but it's glitter Fire Tiger. And you also notice this, the difference with this is it has a clear bill.
Okay.
You know, versus the opaque bills. So a clear bill, generally in low water conditions too.
Okay, so lower clear water.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, the clear bill really shines in those conditions.
Let's kind of stick with the whole silver theory. I know you've been chasing them a little bit here. If you are out there and you're running the standard size Wiggler, do you have any advice on speed and maybe the depths that you would run them for silver?
Great question.
Okay.
Because yesterday we were out there and we were running 360s and Wigglers. Okay. And you know, generally you can do it. Just all depends on the speed that the coho want that day, right?
Sure.
Is it a slower speed or is it a zoom-in speed?
Sure.
Yesterday, it was more of a zoom-in speed, and we were getting bit on the 360s, so we were kind of focusing on the 360 rods a little bit more. We just had a couple hours, but we weren't getting hit on the plugs. We just weren't fishing them fast enough.
Okay.
There are times where you actually, they want it ripping, right?
Okay.
You've seen that.
Oh, absolutely.
They actually, they want it ripping. And yesterday was one of
sometimes
those
even
days.
a very uncomfortable fast speed.
You can hear the motor. Yeah, and you're uncomfortable with like how much it's revved up.
Right.
Yeah, but
which is certainly something that you can use to determine what your speed actually is. But in the end, you're going to look at your rod tip when you're going, sometimes, not always for silvers when you're pulling these plugs around, but they won't even be moving very much because they're vibrating so fast that you won't see that typical flicker in the rod tip. You'll see more of just that pinned down vibration as it's coming off. And sometimes those speed differences at that high speed, as long as you got it tuned, which is one of the reasons why I love these.
Yeah.
All the way to the killer fish, right out of the package. These things, 9 out of 10 of them run. Right? Now, there's others that are out there that you got to spend a little bit of time tweaking, but it's nice when you can take one right out of the package and run the thing. But in the end, making sure that these things are tuned correctly so that they're running straight, not kicking off one side or the other. You can go from a 2-mile-an-hour troll where it's just kind of holding to a 3-mile-an-hour troll and running in a perfect wobble. And you're going to see if you're wrong. You're going to see if that thing starts kicking off to the side. And at that speed, if you hit something with one of these wigglers, you can actually throw it off. You need to pay attention throughout the day if you're trolling fast to keep a good close eye on how these things are running, because it doesn't take a lot to knock them off, but it will certainly kick them off where they might not be as fishy as they can be when you're out there targeting them.
And same thing, when you're tuning it, just tune it just a hair.
Right. Small increments.
Let's
talk about that real quick. So, all right, so you've got the eye on a wiggler, okay? It's integrated into the bill of the plug. It's not like it's a screw-in for some other style of plugs like the killer fish or whatever else. So it's a slight bend, a pair of needle nose pliers. Once you get your pliers on there, it's just one side or the other. And it's just, if it's going to the right, just tweak it slightly, ever so slightly to the left, and vice versa. And you're going to see the difference. It does not take a lot. If you go too much on it, you can really screw up a plug and end up turning it into one that you just can never find that spot again. So just really small adjustments.
Smaller than you think.
True.
We'll start with that. Smaller than you think.
Because it doesn't take a lot.
No, not at all. No. And if you, like you just said, you get too far and you're fighting it all the way back.
Right. And it's highly well worth spending the extra time to make sure that it's running straight. Magnum. Okay. So this is the Magnum size here, everyone. This is the standard size. Right here, we've got one of my favorites if I'm on the Deschutes. I love the little wigglers, the little tiny guys, especially behind a side planer. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different sizes.
That's the wee and that's the little.
Okay. If somebody goes over to Fishman's and they're taking a look at some of these plugs, this is more size of what you might use for trout.
Trout and finicky steelhead and finicky coho as well.
Would you recommend, if you're going to target steelhead specifically, to change hooks at all?
I do. Okay. I generally will go with a bead chain down off the center. And either a siwash or an octopus hook. If you're in a place where you can, kill everything, then use your where you can keep native coho and stuff, go ahead and use your treble.
I love the way that you set this up with that siwash, right? That's a very interesting hook, too, by the way.
So quick and easy to release.
It is an advantage, and I'm not going to say that it's on all the plugs, but sometimes when you do that bead chain right off the belly of the hook, you'll even find that they'll dive a little bit deeper, and you'll find that they're sometimes more durable when you are fighting fish. So it is certainly a way to go after them, and it's a deadly effective way, especially for big Chinook.
And the land ratio goes way up.
Good point.
Because they are not leveraging the hooks against the lure.
Sure, gotcha.
So they're just twisting, coho twist. They're just twisting, and your hook to land ratio goes way up.
Okay, makes perfect sense. All right, let's continue this conversation when we come back from the break. I've got one more Chevy Silverado Tech Tip of the Week for you, and we're going to continue to talk a little bit about silvers, Chinook, but I want to talk a little bit about what's on our doorstep, which is going to be winter steelhead. It's right around the corner. We'll talk a little bit with Scott about that when we come back.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Yakima Bait, steeped in tradition, innovation, and fishing success. And by Procure Bait Sense, ruthlessly effective.